bum. All right. Da-da-da-da-da. Let's see. Did that work? Are we live? Are we on the air? Hey, look at that. We're live on YouTube after 5 years. Let's see. The last time we had published anything, I had published anything on YouTube, March 16, 2021. Look at that. Well, look, we're back. That had, by the way, last time we were live on YouTube, just reading directly from the dashboard of contents, the contents dashboard. The last time we had streamed, again, 2021, with roughly 7,000 subscribers, we had 679 views, 166 likes, 99.4% of them being positive. How does a like become negative? Likes versus dislikes, I see. Okay, so we had one dislike and 166 likes. The other streams we'd had prior to that were all, let's see, 184 and 193 likes, unanimous, 100%, no dislikes. And we got nuked for having one dislike on YouTube, so we're going to see if we can maintain it. I don't know if we will. Let's see. But we are live on Rumble. We're live on Odyssey. We're live on Pilled. We're live on X. Let's see. Where is X? Oh, X is in front of me. There you go. At Tommy Borum Jokes. You can follow there. You'll see some interesting things, I think. Like this prescient reply. I'll just take you back in case you'd missed it on the last show, because it's an interesting thing. It's, it's not every day someone is as clairvoyant as me, although it's every day. I've told you this before. I have all the answers. A lot of people say, I don't have all the answers. I do. Just people don't ask me for them. Harrison said on August 13th, this is just a recap real quick. He said, I'm not going to name names, but I was told by someone close to Charlie Kirk that Charlie thinks Israel will kill him if he turns against them. To which I replied, they would. If Charlie turned heel on Israel, they would have someone shoot him at an open-air event, and then have some idiot groiper with a genetically anomalous issue there to be the patsy fall guy. Part of why you never make the deal with the devil in the first place. That's what I said on August 13th. So follow for more future posts. I think maybe this is just me being like hopeful, maybe a bit glib, but I think I post some things from time to time that are worth, at least on this one, 3.2 million views. That's not bad. So you could be one. How about that? Check this out. This is the news from the last week and a half or so. I haven't really been paying too much attention to the politics because, frankly, it's not all that exciting. We've seen a lot of from Trump and the administration since he was inaugurated. I kind of gave up a lot of gusto in March. By early April, I think my attitude has tracked online. I think since like early April, I've thought this is going to be like a lame duck kind of administration the whole time. He nearly got his head blown off in July last year. We were streaming live. Go check the channel content page if you'd like for July of last year. Be real easy to find the stream. Watch my reaction live. We went fucking nuts, and I think I said some things that could get me indicted. So to the feds watching, thanks for having my back and constantly telling the police who follow me to not pull me over. I say this jokingly, but I think if anyone were listening and thinking like, wow, he really means it. Is he a schizophrenic? No. Paranoid personality disorder? No. But we have fun. When you get put on the Quad S list and you're, searched high and low every time you fly for every leg of every flight forever since 2021, and people tell you you just must be randomly chosen, eventually you go, okay, random for you, but chosen for me. Back to this. Again, I've lost a lot of my energy towards Donald Trump and the gang. For a while, I held out some hope for the plan. And and get me right, I still have zero point 0.1 or zero point 0.6, maybe a whole 1% at times percent hope for the plan to still be active in some way, shape, or form. So long as Donald Trump is alive, there's still a hope, right? If he were put on his deathbed and told he's got 6 hours to live, it'd be very interesting to see what kind of executive orders were allowed to come out. How well insulated he is, he may not be able to do anything. He may already have his hands tied in that way. I'd hope not, but it's possible. Let's see. It's been a while since I streamed. Let's see if we have any of these effects. Okay. All right. And for when we get to the part where Trump is accused of blowing someone, let's hear that one. Okay. Well, I think you get the point. I've done a little pre-reading on this. I've made some posts. If you follow on X, you probably get a sense for what I already think about this. Or you already get a sense for what I think about this. When Trump was inaugurated and he sends a team to investigate and to look at all the Epstein files, if at that point they were scrubbed and any truly incriminating and indictment-worthy material had been in there, it'd be shocking to me. I would imagine it'd all be scrubbed. It's all going to be whitewashed and cleaned up through an intelligence lens, and instead bloviated and put through a retarded misconstruction. What am I trying to say here? They're going to bastardize the intelligence. They're going to take points of data and flip it and invert it like Missy Elliott. They're going to put that thing down, flip it and reverse it, and make it look like something that it isn't. Just like with January 6th, they took actual video and photo of people moving forward against police lines and said this is an insurrection. They're battling with police officers. And then when they killed police officers after the fact, they said, look, they died from them. So we've seen this happen. This isn't shocking that they would just take facts and misuse them to lie against what is true. Because if you try to challenge it, they say, oh, well, the facts are, these are true facts. If you are Jeffrey Epstein and your indictment is a decade and many years now old, you're known as a pedophile, you're known as a greasy, screwball financier, like the grease guy. And as Tim Dillon put it in his show this past weekend, I think if you watch that makes some sense. Jeffrey Epstein is, as Mike Benz put it this past week, and I think he was a little bit too generous. I think he almost makes an effort to whitewash this like intelligence does. Mike Benz, CIA. Jeffrey Epstein is the international financier for the CIA and other intelligence agencies, MI6, Mossad, etc. So, as it was put, if they want to go and do work in a country like Angola, where the age of consent is 12, they may send Jeffrey Epstein because he will have the same predilections as some of the greasy people there they're trying to work with. That's their excuse for all of this. That the focus wasn't the girls. The girls simply juice the deal, as Mike Benz put it. And you can criticize him for being so cavalier and callous with his language when talking about children being sex trafficked, because he just calls them girls who juice the deal. That's Mike Benz. Go check out his X account. He posted his latest hour and some odd long, maybe 2 hour long stream. In the first 5 minutes of it, he's just discussing why Epstein really isn't that bad of a deal. It's really not that big. Because if you think about it, it's really just the intel agencies paying different people through him as an intermediary and using his behavior that matches other behaviors to link up. Ugh. So, flash forward to now, again, like I've been saying the past year, we've been demanding the X-Files, the Epstein files. And if Trump is inaugurated and looks at these and says they've scrubbed it, they've whitewashed everything, they've taken themselves, but they've left enough, bones of crime that they can now add some meat to it and put things on that are not there. For instance, just bear with me here for a second, but imagine that they have a photo of Bill Clinton being blown by someone on an airplane or in an office, because the photo is a still image from a video that they have that exists. Bill Clinton getting a blowjob. Would Mossad be benefited by having one of their own people be seen to be blowing Bill Clinton, like Monica Lewinsky, even though we know that exists? Would that benefit them? No. But it might benefit everyone else in the intel agencies if they doctor an image to make it appear as though Trump is blowing Bill Clinton. Again, I know that is not what was said. We're going to dispel a lot of that in just a minute, but we're very early in. I just want to get that out. That point by point, no matter what your opinion is of that claim, the story, etc., you have to wonder if any of it makes any real sense. So for years, when they go through Epstein's mansion and they see the paintings of Bush with the paper airplanes into the Jenga towers, very ominous, to put it lightly, grim. When you see here, if I pull this up again, you see that little Bill Clinton in the blue dress with the heels taken from another painting at Epstein's mansion? Why wouldn't we have seen a painting of Donald Trump blowing someone? Surely we would see that. We would see Donald Trump with a kazoo or a trombone or some kind of instrument where he's blowing hard, wouldn't we? Here, just the timeline of events. The House Democrats, ABC News is crediting House Democrats with the release of the new Epstein emails referencing Trump. One of his emails is a 2011 message between himself, Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell. So we can go on. Referring to his criminal indictments and his ongoing cases and issues, he had referred to Donald Trump as a dog that hadn't barked, and told his former companion, Ghislaine Maxwell, that an alleged victim had spent hours at my house with Trump. And what do you think? Can you imagine that he's messaging Ghislaine Maxwell and saying what? Trump is a dog that hasn't barked. In his language, in his world, what does that mean? He's a fish that hasn't bit the bait? Or he's someone who has seen but hasn't spoken? You see something, say something. Donald Trump has witnessed these things, but he hasn't spoken up. Or Donald Trump is not someone I've been able to get on the hook. He's someone who isn't interested. Or is it just as the phrase is used, why isn't he speaking up? He's seen things. Why isn't he saying things? He's the dog that hasn't barked. As an FBI informant, you wouldn't. You would just buttons on your lips, not say a word, and eventually go and meet with your case agent and present what you've heard. You'd go and inform on Epstein. You would not complain to Epstein himself. Your case agent's not going to ask, well, why didn't you stop him? Well, and risk my credibility, my position, myself, him having questioned me. So instead, Epstein is questioning why Trump isn't speaking up. He's like, hey, why isn't Trump saying anything? Why isn't he doing anything? And he's messaging Ghislaine Maxwell this. So he's trusting in her, saying this, you'd think, sincerely. Okay, just put a pin in that. We'll jump to the next interesting point here. Something that the ABC News isn't so interested in crediting the House Democrats with. Those same Democrats who just released the Epstein new emails were themselves texting with Epstein in 2019. Hear this right. The House Democrats in 2019, while hosting congressional hearings on Epstein, were texting with Epstein about how to damage Trump's reputation. From the New York Post, this says, again, by Rich Calder, House Democrat exchanged texts with Epstein on how to hurt Trump during the 2019 congressional hearing, documents show. Jeffrey Epstein was feeding questions to this horse-faced tranny lookalike. Not to sound like Don Lemon, but she's clockable. Looks like it could have been a guy at one point. Jeffrey Epstein was feeding questions to Rep. Stacey Plaskett during a 2019 congressional hearing and giving her real-time help on how to damage President Trump's reputation. These say newly released documents show. The texts, first reported by the Washington Post, show the convicted pedophile, that is Epstein, pontificating with Plaskett during a February 27, 2019 House Oversight Committee hearing in which the then former president's ex-attorney Michael Cohen was testifying about Trump's alleged payments to mistresses to silence stories before the 2016 election. These are the Stormy Daniels posts. Trump has vehemently denied all allegations. In these texts, Epstein appeared to be watching on TV while Cohen brought up former Trump executive assistant Ronna Graff in his testimony. Isn't that crazy? Cohen brought up Ronna, keeper of the secrets. Epstein texted misspelling Graff's first name. Ronna, responded Plaskett, a non-voting delegate representing the U.S. Virgin Islands. Quick, I'm up next. Is that an acronym? And he says, that's his assistant. Okay, so she's paying very little attention. I just want to point this out. This is the dummy right here. This is her, Stacey Plaskett, technically, legally a representative, but for the U.S. Virgin Islands. So she knows Jeffrey Epstein personally. He probably picked her and put her in office because she's going to protect him in the U.S. Virgin Islands along with all the banks and all the trafficking and all the other crap that goes on there. That's where his island is. So she's his rep, and he's texting her directly, trying to help her. She's retarded, mind you. Now here it is. Stacey Plaskett, autistic? No. Don't give her credit like that. Stacey Plaskett hears him, Epstein. So she reads his text when he says, "Oh my God, Cohen just brought up Ronna." And Stacey says, "Ronna? What? Who that? What is that? An office? What is that? An acronym for something? Is that like Rico? Can we get him now, Massa?" And he goes, "Oh, no. Ronna is a woman. She's his assistant. You fucking dumb." So that's what happened here. It's not like he's texting her saying, "Say this, say that." He opened the door to questions regarding who are the other henchmen at Trump Organization. He told her, "Very aware, I'm waiting my turn." You don't tell your boss to pipe down, lady. "Are there other people that we should be meeting with?" she asked. So Alan Weaselberg, beautiful, is the chief financial officer of the Trump Organization. Cohen began to reply. "You've got to quickly give us as many names as you can so we can get to them," she responded. Is Miss Ronna, what is Miss Ronna's? Ronna Graff is the Mr. Trump's executive assistant. Her office is directly next to his, and she's involved in a lot of whatever went on, he had said. And then here, the New York Post just goes, here's a photo from the 90s. It's all right. Not relevant, but you know. At 2:34, Epstein told Stacey Plaskett, "Good work," a minute after she'd finished her questioning. Again, he's watching live. But Jews don't have any undue influence in the government. It's not like Jeffrey Epstein was texting people directly in Congress. Oh, no, wait. That's exactly what was happening. So, to cover for this, and part of why this was not released in January when the inauguration took place, is because instead of having people who were actually abused on the island be protected, like Pam Bondi said, we don't want to re-victimize the victims. Get that. But Democrats are going to run now with this because Trump tried to bury it, tried to pretend, okay, yeah, now it's a big hoax. Well, why didn't you release all of this and say they've added things to it like this to try to smear me and play chess with me and have me not release it? Well, they got you in some way because you tried to sit on this. And now it makes it look credible. It makes it look viable in the eyes of the left. Now they can run with it and say, is it true? Because he did try to hide it. Here's the headline from Newsweek. This is how far we've fallen. Donald Trump blowing Bubba. A message in Epstein emails under scrutiny. Oh, really, dog? Well, stop eating fuzz then. Now, again, I started out at 8:11 telling you we're just going to go point by point because I don't believe that this is true to begin with. I don't think that this is real. I don't think Donald Trump, the known germaphobe and ladies' man, would be out blowing guys. I just don't see it. But beyond that, Jeffrey Epstein's brother says, one, Bubba isn't Bill Clinton, and two, that isn't a sincere message that is meant to be one true or two believable. It's two brothers ha-ha-haing back and forth. The context of the message would not have you, the public, see it and believe it and think that that actually then happened. If anything, you might ask, okay, out of context, it looks like Jeffrey Epstein believed in the Russiagate conspiracy. Okay, do you think that he wouldn't have known and be told and kind of in on how this all works? So he would believe that Putin would have this kind of photo. And two, he'd be asking his brother if it were the case, hey, does Putin have this photo? I think it would be mocking people who claim Russia had anything. Jeffrey Epstein is being glib. He's sitting kind of aside all of it, talking to his brother, like Statler and Waldorf, going, oh, you think Putin has this too? Oh. Because when you see it that way, you go, oh, well, Epstein probably isn't sincere in saying Putin must have a photo of Trump blowing Bubba. But he's mocking the idea that Putin has anything. And because Democrats want Putin to just have everything in the world, it's like Christmas wish list from Santa Claus. He says, hey, you think Putin's got that too? Jeffrey Epstein's brother says Bubba isn't Bill Clinton after Epstein email about Trump blowing Bubba, quote unquote, goes viral. Here, this says, just so that you need to know, Jeffrey Epstein's brother is offering clarification on the meaning of an email included in his recently released files. The email referenced photos. See, this is already why it's need to know. Jokingly referenced photos that don't actually exist of Donald Trump, quote, blowing Bubba. And Mark Epstein says Bubba isn't former President Bill Clinton. Why not add that Mark Epstein also said that these are jokes about non-existent material? Anyway, they skip on. The House by omission, they allow you to believe it might still be real. It might still be out there. Hope. The House Oversight Committee recently released a large amount of documents from Jeffrey Epstein's estate. Okay. Not one of them is something that is of Trump's. It's not a letter to Trump or from Trump. Nothing that can be credibly associated with him. Rather, just emails from Epstein to his brother, to other associates, naming Trump and making jokes. Now, what year was it again that Donald Trump gave Epstein the boot from Mar-a-Lago for getting handsy and a little too close to some of the younger girls at the spa? Donald Trump is, as Jeffrey Epstein described, the dog that hadn't barked, but had spent hours with younger associates, one of the alleged victims. So imagine this again. If you're Donald Trump and you're sitting with one of the girls who Epstein abuses, and Jeffrey is meeting with Donald Trump and maybe a few other people at the house because he's hosting an event or he's speaking, whatever. He has a few billionaire people over to do some deals and some planning. Donald Trump doesn't drink, doesn't do drugs, maybe only uses prescription speed from the doctor, has a little bit of a Sudafed sniffle. Epstein is perplexed. Donald Trump spent hours at my house with her, with the sex pot kitten that we put in front of him, and he's the dog that hasn't barked. What gives? He spent hours with her. What's the deal? He almost sounds paranoid. Like, what is he doing with her if he's not fucking her?
Oh, hi. Thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
If Trump is talking to the hookers, but not hitting at, one, you might think, well, is he gay? No, he's just not a pedophile. And again, we already know Donald Trump had acted as an FBI informant since 1989 on things, because this was already outed. Is it drugs? Is it sex trafficking? Is it corruption in New York? Is it all of it ongoing constantly? Is he talking to the FBI because when he goes to the New York Police Department, they have a photo of Diddy on the wall and they look at him like, what do you want? Are you here to bust up our criminal racket that we have going on? You can't complain to the police if the police are in on it. So Trump becomes an FBI informant in 1989. He's spending time with the victims, collecting statements. He's completely sober, so he can take a witness statement and then go and, like I said, memorialize it, create a memorandum, send it to his case agent, etc. So that's way back when. Now we flip to today, in the now, Mark Epstein saying that while Bubba is a nickname of Bill Clinton, Mark says to The Advocate in a story published Sunday that the individual named in these emails is not the former president, saying, quote, for the avoidance of doubt, the reference to Bubba in this correspondence is not in any way a reference to former President Bill Clinton, he said in a statement. Ollie Clark, a spokesperson for Mark, told The Advocate that Bubba is rather a private individual who is not a public figure. Well, that's what private means. He added, quote, these are part of an email exchange that is being misread. Now, again, if you had the other emails, it might say, yeah, I bet Putin's got a picture of Hillary Clinton's penis. And then the response might be, yeah, and a picture of Mike Obama stretching Barack out while he smokes crack. And then the next one goes down and says, I wonder if Putin has a picture of Trump blowing Bubba. Right? If they're just throwing out absurdities, then this story is kind of the complete inverse of what the news and the leftist media wants you to believe it is, but they would never tell you the truth. They're just going to give you a little nugget and say, can you believe that? Look at that, how terrible. You know that emails were exchanged between Epstein and his brother about Trump blowing someone? So what, we're supposed to believe that 1, they're real, 2, they're credible, 3, that they weren't a joke, 4, that Epstein's word is somehow better than Trump's? Mark also explained, again, the emails are being misread. Quote, they're simply part of a humorous private exchange between two brothers that were never meant for public release, nor to be interpreted as serious remarks. And this isn't a guy trying to save his skin, because I think he would make a lot more money giving interviews if he just went out and said, whew, yeah, my brother and I had calls weekly talking about all the crimes Trump did. And for $25,000 a minute, I will sit here and talk with you about them. Like, he would make a ton of money doing that. But instead, he's doing the opposite, and he's saying it for free to The Advocate. When asked for additional context about the messages, Mark declined to provide more detail. At one point, they say, you and your boy Donnie can make a remake of the movie Get Hard. Mark wrote in the exchange, you and your boy Donnie, they're not friends. So why would he be referring to Donald Trump as your boy Donnie? Because it's a joke. How about Epstein's going to prison? And so Donald needs help learning how to go to prison? No, Epstein has been to prison, and what, he's going to get help from Trump and learn. See, this is, it's a contrived bad joke. You maybe have to explain it to me. People reached out to Clinton's office for comment. Why? People, didn't they read The Advocate? Didn't you know that Bubba wasn't referring to Clinton? You reach out to Clinton and ask, hey, did you ever get blown by Donald Trump? Well, make sure you also ask him if he blew Trump, because it's just as likely to have happened. So while that might be boring, I don't believe that Trump blew anyone. I just don't buy it. But in case you do, some of the documents mention Trump, including one from Epstein's brother, Mark, which references photos of Trump blowing Bubba. Bubba is a nickname of former President Bill Clinton. But Mark Epstein told Newsweek the individual was not Clinton. So why add this other than just to dispel the rumor? Why not say Mark Epstein clarified that these were not real, nor were they referencing authentic or even genuinely existing photos, that these are two brothers riffing. And when you think about it that way, this makes so much more sense. And a lot of people just don't sit around and riff with their friends or their brother, so they don't understand this kind of behavior. When you sit back and you're just riffing, when you're just riffing around. I wonder who was riffing when they came up with this bullshit. And it is real. This is real. It is real? Here from the Times of Israel. This says, Israel seeking 20-year America First security agreement with U.S. Report. Is that what it is? I like this headline better. Here's a scoop from Barak Ravid. Oh, it's good news. It's exciting, good breaking news. Israel seeks a 20-year military aid deal with the U.S. with America First tweaks. I hope we're not sending America First Tweak. Tweak, are you going? I hope not. If Tweak is shipping out, I really hope he's not going to Israel. Hey, that's nice. We'll pop over here for a second. Let's see. I do have a super chat. That's nice. Over on Rumble, Black T says, been a while since I've seen anything from you. Good to see you're still doing okay. I don't have a lot of money to throw around, but I'll offer what I can. Hey, Black T, love you, appreciate you. Good to see you. Thank you very much. That's kind. Let's see. Mr. Tizo's over on Odyssey. See you there. Pilled, we see you. Hello. We are live on YouTube. Let's go ahead and just peek on over and see if anyone has popped over there. Let's see. Mr. 3 people, including me watching on YouTube. Fantastic. And so we have Rumble, Odyssey, Pilled, and then we checked X, right? Let's jump over there. Let's just quick see if there's anything that we missed. And appreciate you jumping on and hanging out while the stream is running. What's your YouTube? I should just drop the link in the chat. How about I do that? Not because I want you to go watch there, but because if you go click it and give it a like or whatever, it may just go and help other people find it on that platform, and then they can come here, whether that's on Rumble or Odyssey, on Pilled, on X, wherever. Helping push the YouTube might help. Because I had like 6,000 subs over on YouTube, 7,000 before I got nuked. And when I got back on, there were just about 6,000. And I see that now I've dipped under. I'm just at like 5,900 and something. So it'd be cool if the people that were on YouTube saw this, say, hey, that's nice. And then they can jump over to X or to Rumble or to Pilled or to Odyssey. So we'll push that. That helps. Okay. Onward and upward. Back to the game. Israel seeking a 20-year military deal with the United States. And they say, with America first, tweaks. I'd hate to see what the initial plan looked like. Would have gone for. If these were the America first tweaks, and they weren't, no aid, period, full stop. I don't know what kind of a tweak it would be. Israel is seeking a 20-year security agreement with the U.S., doubling the usual term and adding America first text. They say provisions to win the Trump administration's support. Israeli and U.S. officials tell Axios. So our deep state and the Israelis are working together, telling Axios, hey, go prime the public pumps. We need to go make sure that all the people out in the public are aware this deal is coming. So the officials are telling Axios, and the president's administration is going to get snookered onto it because they're going to put a bunch of this all over it. Then they might even label it Made in America just to get him to sign it himself. They say the past agreement promised Israel $4 billion per year. Over 10 years, it was a $40 billion deal. We're now going to double that. The current 10-year Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, not an IOU, they're not going to ever give it back, signed in 2016 under Barack Obama, expires in 2028. I think Axios needs to do a little bit of math. Israel wants to conclude the new deal over the next year. Go figure. Negotiations are both technically and politically complicated, given MAGA's opposition to foreign aid and bipartisan concerns over Israel's conduct in Gaza. Yeah, so does anyone want to vote? Does anyone want to re-vote? Did anyone vote for more money to Israel? Does anyone, is this exciting for you? Is it exciting for you? When you have a harder time affording groceries, when you have a harder time affording gas, even though it's cheaper, when it's harder to afford insurance, when it's harder to afford your housing, whether it's rent or mortgage, whether it's your insurance on your home or your car or your vacation, whatever, it's more expensive today than it was 4 years ago. It's nice to see Ron DeSantis pushing that we should just across the board, every state abolish property taxes. That's a beautiful thing. I'd forgive all the other gay shit about Ron DeSantis and his boots too, and let him storm in instead of Vance in 2028 if we could just get rid of taxes. We voted for Trump to do some of these things. Nothing in this article. Yeah, instead of the 10 years at a time that we constantly are supporting Israel, for what reason we don't know, we want to do it, we want to lock in a good 20 year this time. And Israel has been told by both the Knesset and by Bibi himself that Israel is ready to get away from U.S. aid. We're ready to stop taking U.S. aid. That's what they're telling their people, so that Israelis don't have this chip on their shoulder, because Israelis aren't immune to propaganda. They've been hearing also that we give them a ton of money, and for fucking what? And so they now have said, you know, it isn't really that great. You know, we thought it being Israeli was really cool, but turns out it might not be if we've been living a lie. We are not God's chosen people. We're not just rich for no reason. It turns out that we are just a leech. Oh. And so their leadership is telling them, we're not going to be a leech forever. Relax. We are still going to be very cool. We're not going to take American dollars. And so they are being told this, while we are being told, hey, get ready to fork up and double down for the next 20 years. How many billions and maybe trillions of dollars is this going to total out to be? There have been 3 10-year framework agreements for long-term security assistance to Israel. Now, they have other kinds of assistance as well, right? We have technological assistance, we have economic assistance, we have humanitarian aid. You know, like the little envelopes that say you can support a Jewish widow for only $35 a day. This is just the military aid. The military aid from 98 to 08 was $21 billion. The following 10 years, $32 billion. And then the following 10 years, $38 billion. We've given them another $40 billion for their war in Gaza, just to go and demolish a people group. What do you want to bet that the next 20-year deal is going to be something like $100 billion? And you know what? Probably should pack it a little more than that because, we got to predict for growth. We give Israel $4 billion a year. That's a lot. Congratulations, by the way. That's pretty good. But we give Israel billions of dollars a year. Billions. That was President Trump referring to U.S. military assistance to Israel during a meeting with Bibi just last April. The negotiations over the new security deal were delayed for some time due to the war in Gaza. But initial discussions began in recent weeks, according to 2 Israeli officials and 1 U.S. official. Well, we should know who that is. Who is that? Is that Howard Lutnick? During these discussions, the Israeli side floated 2 ideas for changes in the new security agreement. The first proposal was extending the agreement from 10 to 20 years, which would make it broader in scope and take the agreement through Israel's 100-year anniversary of independence in 2048. Yeah, don't you want to be around for the second Jubilee? The second change the Israelis proposed was to use some of the money for joint U.S.-Israeli research and development rather than military aid. Oh, isn't that freaking hilarious? Hey, we give you money so you can buy our military equipment so it doesn't just sit on the shelf. So we can get some of our money from our investment back. We invest how many billions of dollars into R&D? And then we have these things that we can use, but don't always have an opportunity to use. We don't have a reason to use them. But we can sell them so that other people are also armed. They're all, okay, there we go. Israel, you can buy our military equipment with our cash. Here's some cash. And they go, thank you for the cash. What if we don't buy your military equipment, though, and we use this aid for that R&D you were talking about? We're going to cut out buying equipment from you. We're going to just start funding the research so that we don't need you at all in the future at all. This isn't even a mutually beneficial relationship now. This has gone, the parasite is now fully in the brain and is eating the tissue. Yeah, we're not going to buy your equipment. We're instead going to just do the R&D ourselves. We're going to use that money for joint U.S.-Israeli R&D. And what that means, this little piece here, means whatever breakthroughs we have, they get. We tell everyone this is like the ongoing understanding, at least in the United States. The experts say that the United States and the tech leaders, Raytheon, L3, the weapons manufacturers, they sell to everyone in the world. But the United States has the first right of refusal on every, bleeding edge, all the new zero-day tech, all the other old shit can be sold. And so every country in the world wants to buy it. Right? Russia has some competing companies, and so there you have it. You have the East and the West selling arms around the world. And Israelis have a unique position where they're almost like a preferred nation status. They get, right? So if you think like all the weapons make up 100% of what the United States has to give, and we give every other country up to half or 60, 65, maybe in some cases 70% of our tech. But we save the the top percent, the smartest, best, highest, leading tech we save for ourselves. We willingly say, yeah, Israel gets the best deal of anyone. They get like 90 to 95% of all of our good stuff. We save the very, 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 very best new developments and so on just for security reasons. But we give them basically everything they ask for. And the things that they don't know to ask for because they're so damn secret that they don't even know about them, we think. They don't ask for it yet, so that's what we're hiding. What we don't give them are things that we are keeping so secret, they know not to ask for them. So think like, if Israel knows that we have teleportation technology, but we keep it such a secret that it's not in our files that they've hacked, then they know they really can't ask for it, or they're giving away their sources and methods, right? That's what you hear a lot. So they want it to be a joint U.S.-Israeli R&D project so that they can have 100% of the pie, so that they have no little piece missing, so that the U.S. isn't researching and developing something and then selling them most of the pieces once we figured it out. They want it all, and they might want it at the same time as we get it so that there can be no hiding it. What's in your pocket? Turn out your pocket. They don't want to have to demand that we turn out our pockets. You know, Trump would do it. At this point, I don't have any faith that Trump wouldn't do it. I think what he would do is give them all the secrets, and he would do it right there live on TV and say, well, they've demanded it. They said we're gonna get nuked if we don't do it, so I guess we're gonna have to do it. And he makes such an ass of the whole situation that every American with blood in their veins says, all right, nuke Tel Aviv. And then you got to wonder, is the guy just playing a heck of a heel? Is Trump just going, well, let's see. To destroy Israel, we have to be such a good friend of Israel that everyone begins to hate how good of a friend to Israel we are. And they end up resenting Israel because they realize what the fuck is going on. If we try to separate, we'll get every attack possible. So instead, everyone else fan out, separate. But Trump himself, nope, he's going right up in there. Pushing out the chair, doing everything. Oh. And so then people go, ugh, disgusting. Look at this. I hate them. People are like, yeah, you know what? Hitler wasn't even that bad. People are getting so resentful and sick of this. And if Trump had said, no war in Gaza, we're not allowing any of it, and we're going to block it on social media because we do not want Americans seeing that the military aid is going to genocide. We don't want that. You know, we pay for this 21, 38, 30, billions of dollars a decade at a time for genocide so that Israel can clean out its neighbors and build its little utopia. And Trump can't navigate away from that. So instead, maybe he's like, okay, yeah, I'll play the guy who's cooked. I'll play the little good Shabbos goy, so happy. Oh God, I love you so much. But be so uncouth about it. So ham-fisted and clumsy and arrogantly douchebaggish about it that you turn everyone off from it. Maybe that's the play. And if so, then I pray for him all the more. Because what a selfless thing to, as a billionaire who's built a reputation, being a cutout, psyop, informant, etc., being part of this, info establishment in the West. So long as the facade is believed by our people and their people, it's real. It doesn't matter if the money is even there in the bank or not. If I say I have 8 billion, I have 8 billion. If the FBI and the CIA and the NSA and the IRS all claim it's true, then it is. Because money's not real and the points don't matter. If Trump then decides to run and they all say, wait, but his shit's not real. They all go, oh, I guess we have to continue it on forever. I'm not even saying I believe that. I'm saying the worst critics, that's what they'd have to believe for all of this. So then go all the way, go further. I cheer him on. Trump, go. Be the absolute China in the bull the China in the bull cabinet? That's not going to work. That's what it seems like he's been. Be the bull in the china cabinet that goes, oh yeah, Israel, you want everything? You want it all? Okay. And then Gallagher them. Watermelons. Oh, man alive. It's 10-9. So here's some wrapping up news. The Guardian published this. I think they should just take a break. The Guardian, I think, what is this, the UK? The Guardian should not be reporting on the US. If they have to have a United States news tab, then maybe you're just not built to be reporting from the United States. If you're a foreign publication, maybe you should just outsource your American reports to Americans in America who are not leftist communist faggots. Let's see. From The Guardian, the U.S. Army veteran who received a Purple Heart has been deported by ICE to Mexico. This is a Venezuelan-born Jose Barco, detained upon early release from prison following attempted murder. Oh, okay, so yeah, sure, Purple Heart veteran, yeah, 20 years ago. But more recently than that, did 15 years in prison and then got out and tried to kill someone. And he never properly filled out his paperwork and got it in and got it processed and became a citizen, so he's not one. Well, he hasn't committed any crimes except for attempted murder. During his military career, Barco filled out paperwork for citizenship. He filled it out like on a napkin? Is it a wish list? His application was never processed for an unknown reason. Could the reason have been because it wasn't mailed in, because it wasn't done, because it wasn't real? But he says he submitted it. His legal team says his former commander attests to helping him complete and submit the application. That's strange too, because his commander, I would think, wouldn't be needed to help fill out an application for citizenship. It's possible he could be signing off on things. You'd think you'd have a copy of it, though. Something as important as your citizenship paperwork, once you've fought and bled for this country, once you get you've earned a Purple Heart on the battlefield for this nation, and you're applying for citizenship after, and you don't think to keep a copy of the paperwork. Kind of seems like you probably didn't fill it out. You probably just thought, hey, listen, let's say, yo, these motherfuckers, I'm not filling out no shit. They already gave me my Purple Heart, bro. I'm not going to fill it out. I'm not going to do it. They can fucking get me when they come for me. I'm going to tell them, yeah, this is my shit, bro. I already fought and bled for this country, fool. Barco, 39, served 15 years in prison for a felony conviction of attempted murder. In October of 2009, Barco was sentenced to 52 years after being convicted of firing a gun at a house party in Colorado Springs. He was suffering from PTSD, they say. One of the bullets he fired hit a 19-year-old woman in the leg. Lucky because he was just randomly firing into a house. Lucky he didn't kill someone. Barco was released on parole this January after serving 15 years of a 52-year sentence. Okay? Was 52. Now he's just going to do 90. He's sentenced to 52 years in prison after shooting and nearly killing a 19-year-old. He does 15 years, and they release him because he was a good guy on good behavior. 15 on 52, so he did just about a third of the time. Unreal. Due to good behavior, upon release, Immigration and Custom Enforcement detained him and took him to a detention center in Colorado. See ya. If you're not going to do your full sentence here, you're going to get sent somewhere else where you truly belong. And so either way, you're not a burden on our system, not on our public system with taxes in the prison, and not on the public itself, out committing wanton crimes, shooting into houses that are otherwise having a fun party. Now, here's a fun party we won't be having at my house. This says from the AP. Germany has canceled the auction of Holocaust artifacts after a backlash. Shane Gillis, popular comedian, watch Tires Season 2 on Netflix now. Shane Gillis has recently been out buying tons of different memorabilia from Hitler and O.J. Simpson, and now he and I will not be able to take advantage of this Holocaust artifact auction. Again, Germany has canceled it. Just unreal. The Polish, of all people, are going to be the ones to ruin the fun. Out of Berlin, this says Poland's foreign minister said Sunday that an offensive auction of Holocaust artifacts, this must be like remakes, memorabilias, like things from the show kind of stuff. Wow, are these real shoes from the pile? Yes, Jimmy, they are. Real prop shoes from the real prop pile at Propschwitz. Radoslaw Sikorsky made the comments on the X platform, saying he and German foreign, Jesus Christ, I got to get some caffeine. German foreign minister Johann Wadephul, quote, agreed that such a scandal must be prevented. The top Polish diplomat thanked Wadephul for the information that the auction was canceled. So the Polish publicly are asking the Germans, is this canceled or not? Because this is bad for everyone. And the Germans say, yeah, this must be agreed. This is a scandal. Such a scandal must be prevented. Could it be that the scandal is not that they'd be selling, benefiting, profiteering from the Holocaust? Because that's what they're going to say. They're going to say it doesn't matter that the proceeds would benefit something or go to pay for the upkeep of whatever museum. Doesn't matter. It could benefit the Jews that survived themselves. Doesn't matter. It's offensive to profit from such evil. That's not really what I think they're saying. I think they're trying to prevent the scandal being that people would find out the shit was fake. Someone buys a little scrawling in a diary and they go, oh, is this a diary from the camp? And they go, yes. And they go, why does it say made in China? Where's the print sticking together on the pages? Why does this look new? Here, let's do this. Let's go. Guy fakes wine from history, sells to Koch brothers. Oh yeah, Copilot. That's what I want. Here's a guy, a billionaire, ex-client testifies, man sold to the Koch brothers and other for more than $20 million in fake French wine vintages that he had created in his kitchen. You familiar with this guy? You're familiar? Hey, you hear about this? You hear about this guy? From CBS News, just remember, this is a little while ago, from 2017. You may have heard about this on morning radio. Billionaire Koch brothers crusade against counterfeit wine. As long as there have been collectors, there have been people trying to cheat them. The world of fine wine is no different. Forgers have made millions of dollars fooling collectors thirsty for rare and interesting trophy wines. With lots of money, big egos, and often no intention of ever drinking the wine, they're an easy target. It's kind of like saying, I'm going to sell you a poster. It's in the frame and it's covered in paper. And now you can't look at it because then it'll break. And the image will be, So the illusion in your mind is that it's beautiful and you just have to leave it there wrapped up in the paper there. And we'll tape the paper shut. And then there you just hang it on your wall. And it's kind of a novelty that you have never seen the poster and no one else has either. Just the artist. How cool. And you sell it to uptown snobs and snoots. And they buy them for $1,000 a pop. They take them home, but one opens it because they're not really a snoot. They just want to see what your poster is going to look like. And it's a big fuck you that you wrote there. And it just says, there's no real poster. This is it. And maybe the guy would say, well, that's a beautiful poster after all. But most of them would realize they've been got. So this is a guy who, just to cut the story short, Bill Koch, one of the Koch brothers, loves wine so much so that he spent millions of dollars on it. He has a big wine cellar. And as you've seen, he has these trophy wines. And so he invites someone into the basement who actually knows what they're looking at with historic bottles and such. And he says, hey, what's this? And he goes, oh, this is what I bought from this, Mount Vernon estate. And this is what I bought from this other thing. And this is what I bought from the king of France, 1600, whatever. And a guy who knows says, nope, that's a fake label. That was remade. This is you. Who sold you this? And so an investigation was done, and they tracked back the guy who, as you just saw, had done this and made something like $20 million. It was Kurniawan. Let's see, Kurniawan. It's got to be Indian, right? Oh, Rudy Kurniawan sought political asylum in the States in 2001 after his appeals were exhausted in 2003. Ooh, boy. If you're a lover of fine wine, you're going to hate this motherfucker because virtually everyone was fooled. Zhang Wang Huang, his real name, but he goes by Rudy Kurniawan. This is the dork who fooled everyone. And he's been released. Look at that. He only had to do 10 years. He's been released from prison. He stole $20 million just mixing different wines together and selling them to people with fake labels, telling them that he had just done research and uncovered this great little, stash, this little trove of bottles hidden away. And people like Epstein, we all think are just intelligence assets, therefore they know everything. No. They're just retarded as everyone else. They have intel connections, but it does not mean they're intelligent. So someone like Jeff Epstein might have been snookered and said, hey, you know what? I'm a con artist, so I think this person's also a con artist, but I like the con. So I'm going to invest in his wine. And we're going to come up with a story where I funded an expedition and his team uncovered new wines, and then we're going to sell them and they're going to go like hotcakes. That's how these people think. The Koch brothers are no different. He's just mad that he was a victim and not an investor. Okay, you with me so far? So that's the scandal that I think they're trying to prevent with the Holocaust auction being canceled. Hey, don't go selling any vintage Holocaust things. Why not? Because we do not want a Kurniawan situation where they find out that the things we've been selling for millions and millions of dollars are not real. But sir, we've sold millions of Holocaust books. What would happen if people questioned the chimneys at anyways? The information about the auction at the Auction House Felsman website on Sunday morning was no longer available by mid-afternoon. The Auction House, Felsman Auction House in Germany, did not immediately respond to calls, an email, or a text message on Sunday. With a collection of over 600 lots at auction in western Neuss, near Düsseldorf, included letters written by prisoners from German concentration camps to loved ones at home. You can get their letters? Gestapo index cards. I want one of those. Don't you want your own personal little Rolodex of Gestapo Christmas cards for the Christmas season? Wouldn't it just be so fun? You can have your very own flip-through Rolodex with your own prisoners and wanted German citizens listed on each. Wouldn't that be fun? Gestapo index cards and other perpetrator documents. These are the things that we want. The German news agency DPA reported. The auction was titled The System of Terror. And what? Now we're not going to get them? We get fake email hoaxes, people referencing things that don't exist, and then we don't get the things that do exist. If you got some letters from the camps, I want to read them. If you have fake or insincere, tongue-in-cheek, glib emails from Epstein, you're going to take them seriously and say, he's super credible and he wasn't joking. These photos really exist. Trump must have blown Clinton. When all the information points to the opposite on all points, but they don't want to sell you Holocaust memorabilia. Why is that? Why wouldn't they want people to have these things in their hands so they could test? Didn't they just say that they had Hitler's DNA and that they were now thinking he might only have one ball and a micropenis? No one believes you, but every year go ahead and print the same thing. Still, you've had his DNA since he died, at least you claim. Hitler's DNA would likely be on record at the German house somewhere. They have all the information for everything. Wouldn't it be not news that you'd find it and do studies? Anyways, they're not releasing real artifacts from the Holocaust that really happened, they say. They have artifacts from the Holocaust that really happened, and these are real artifacts, and that's why no one can profit from them or benefit from them being sold. No one must have them. They belong in a museum. That's not the reason. They're saying, yeah, we are trying to avoid a scandal. And I think the scandal is pretty obvious when you look at it all, but you just let me know in the comments what you think that is. Let me know in the comments what you think the scandal is. I don't think it's real. Okay. And last but not least, let's look at something that's a little funnier. Okay. News. A woman has waited 20 hours in the ER. While waiting, learns she had a heart attack and needs surgery. Well, you're in the right place. She is at the, she's a Star Players Club member. Here I was thinking that she might work. Sorry, no, she does not work there. She is a Star Players Club member at the Shooting Star Casino. That's where she's got a club member's jacket on in the photo. Lori Statina says she spent nearly all day and night waiting to be admitted in the hospital. Then she was told, you're going to need surgery. Yeah, sometimes that happens. It's called a normal fucking day in an American medical system for most people, but apparently this is surprising to her in Canada. July 3rd, 2025 was a day Lori Statina will never forget. She went to Winnipeg's Grace Hospital in an ambulance. She didn't feel well when she woke up, decided she needed to go to the ER, and she called a bus. I arrived on ambulance. I was not on a bed, not on a gurney. So what, you sat in the back of the ambulance and just rode along? Doesn't make any sense. I was brought in sitting up in the back of the ambulance. Right. Okay. You were seated on the gurney. Fine. You don't need to lay down. Whatever. I then waited over 20 hours in the emergency room and didn't get admitted until 5 a.m. on the 4th. I was fearing for my life, she said. Here's a question. Why didn't you just get back in the ambulance and go to a different hospital? Why don't you just go out in the parking lot and call 911 for an ambulance and ask them to bring you to a different hospital? If you didn't have a car, why don't you go out and get an Uber? Why did you wait 20 hours? After 1 hour, they tell you it's going to be a little while longer, and you start calling other hospitals and asking what their wait time is in the wait room. In the waiting room of the ER, you start calling the other local areas in the 120 and 50 and an hour and a half away, and you start asking them what their wait times are. And then you start gauging out your options. You definitely don't sit like a fucking retard for 20 hours in one place and wait to die. Once admitted, she was informed that she was suffering from a mild heart attack. I wonder if it was that she wasn't feeling good. She felt the heart attack coming on, as people do, and went to the ER and then got herself all worked up as she sat there waiting forever, freaked out, and had a heart attack while sitting there. She was given blood tests, a couple EKGs, and then sent for a CT scan where she found out more bad news. I have to go to the OR and get geared up for emergency surgery right now, she said. I didn't even know what I was having surgery for. She didn't know that her bowel was perforated and leaking into her stomach. What do you mean you didn't know your bowel was perforated and leaking into your stomach? What were you having in... Okay, so I was having a heart attack. That didn't cause your bowel to leak into your stomach. What did you do in your ass the night before that your bowel was leaking into your guts? Anyways, terrible. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't have any clue about anything. No doctors came to me before these tests were done. Then they had to take me away for surgery. You sat waiting in the ER telling them, yeah, I just don't feel good. I don't know what's wrong with me. I just don't feel good. Yeah, I'm constantly at the casino. What of it? Yeah, I even smoke it. Whatever. Yeah, I just don't feel good. They're like, okay, yeah, surprise. Look at you. Anyway, go sit down. The mistake was that you just sat there and took it for 20 hours. Dumbass, get an Uber. Go somewhere else, stupid. Oh, but Tom, it's rural Canada. It's not very easy to do that. Well, it's easier than dying. And here's my end all be all. Did you live? Are you okay? Then why the fuck is this news? Sounds like it was a decent day in Canada and the medical system worked out for you because you lived. You should be happy. If you're not, they have MAID for you. Here's another example of why this wouldn't happen to a man. A man would not wait 20 hours in the ER to be helped. A man would leave. Even a fucking dork dude like this finds help faster than 20 hours. A New Brunswick man waits over 12 hours in the ER. This is from 3 months ago. I just had to gauge it and see. I Googled like longest man wait time ever in hospital. Like certainly it's not 20 hours. New Brunswick man waits over 12 hours in the ER to confirm a heart attack. Yeah, I had a heart attack at home. And so I waited until I felt okay. Then I went in, had them test me. They said, is this an emergency? And I say, no, I had a heart attack. I came in. I feel better now. I just want you to test and see that I had a heart attack. And so they do. They go, yeah, sure enough, you had a fucking heart attack like that. He goes, all right, well, anyway, I'm gonna go. 12 hours, in and out. In Moncton, New Brunswick, a man says his faith in the province healthcare system is shaken after it took more than 12 hours of waiting in the ER to be seen by a doctor for a suspected heart attack. Jonah Imeson, 35, was escorted to the emergency department after arriving for an appointment at the Moncton Hospital last month. He had felt chest pain and numbness, nervous for his appointment, and began to have a heart attack right there while at his appointment. So they walked him from one side of the hospital over to the ER. Where what? What do you think happened? Did they treat him immediately? Nope, because it's Canada. They said, all right, pull a number, take a seat. We'll be out with you in about 10 to 12. They go, minutes? No. Have a clipboard. Play some tic-tac-toe with the person who's dying next to you. The waiting room was completely swamped with patients. There were so many people waiting for care. There was a shortage of chairs, and he was left standing at various points. Oh my God. Again, get an Uber and fucking leave. Get an Uber and go to the airport and drop, because the airport has medical staff right there on site. Wouldn't that be easier than dying at an overcrowded hospital that doesn't care if you die? Let's look at what the United States does, just for comparison. The U.S., this says, this is from Vice, a U.S. man charged $5,000 for sitting in the ER waiting room, and he never even saw a doctor. What is this, like a loitering case? If you're not an experienced parent and you may be a little prone to overreaction, you too might rush your child to the emergency room where they suddenly developed a rash. You're going to have to cough up a lot of cash to ultimately be prescribed a topical ointment you could have just been told to get at an urgent care doctor, but that's parenting. It happens. But what if you didn't even get to see an emergency room doctor? Should you still be charged thousands of dollars? And that's what happened to Nathan Jakamiak for his 11-year-old son, Ian, back in May. They pulled into the Good Samaritan Hospital emergency room in San Jose. All right, you just want to come up and say hello when you've been annoying. Hoping a doctor could explain their son's mysterious rash, but he never got a chance to do that. Why not? They just sat there in the waiting room, constantly being told by a nurse to keep doing what they were doing. Yep, just relax. He's having a little bit of a reaction. Yep, it looks okay, so just relax. The man was charged $5,000 for sitting in the waiting room. Well, was he treated in the waiting room? Did they say, hang on, we'll be right back? The nurse just keeps coming out and decides, this is a stress reaction. We're going to bring him out some antihistamines and a shot and he'll be fine and whatever. Was it a mistake? They received a $5,000 bill from the hospital for an ER visit that they were never admitted into the hospital for. Well, you can be, anyways. They complained. They say they called the big guns, 7 on your side, and the bill vanished. It was like it had never happened in the first place. Okay, so U.S. emergency rooms treat you in the ER, in the waiting room, don't even admit you, and mistakenly send you a bill and see if you'll pay it. That was last month, 2 months ago, September 16, 2025. A man was charged $5,000 by mistake, but he could have paid it by mistake too. Instead, he complained. It went away. You like that? There you go. If you complain, maybe this will go away. I would like to not have this bill. This is not a bill from the ER that we do not need because we did not earn, because we did not have. This is rather much worse. This is a bill for genocide and a planned expansion expansion project for little Satan, right? We're called Big Satan and they're little Satan, to quote Iran, Iraq, others, everyone. I don't want to see us do it. I don't need to see any more investment in Israel. I think we need to cut ties, break it off right there, and spend our money on better things. I could go for some new shoes. I could use that money. Instead of spending it on Israel, I could buy a pair of shoes from a pile. Hit the like button, share a link to the show, comment, subscribe. We'll see you all on the next one. Thanks for helping me keep the channel growing and America afloat. Hit the like button, and there are links in the description. allmylinks.com/AmericaFloats. Help us grow. Go to X at Tommy Borum Jokes. Follow, subscribe. For $2, you can subscribe on X. It's very cool. A lot of people do that. Very, very fun. So you should too. It'd be awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Ba-ba-ba-da-ba.
Can't get no sleeves for my records. Can't get no laces for my shoes. Can't get no fancy notes on my blue guitar. I can't get no antidote. Ooh. Oh yeah. I don't much like the reasoning you use. Somehow your motives are impure. Somehow I can't find a cure. Can't get no antidote for. Oh yeah. It's mostly vanity that writes the plays we act. They tell me that's what everybody knows. There's no such thing as